Hey guys, welcome to the Welch review. Today we're going to be talking about a lovely film. Which one are we doing today?
Today we're talking about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Mm-hmm.
And it's directed by Edgar Wright. He also had a hand in writing the screenplay. And it stars Michael Cera, Audrey Plaza, Anna Kendrick, Allison Pill, Johnny Simmons, Jason Schwartzman, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Chris Evans. Wouldn't be a superhero movie if Chris Evans wasn't in it.
Also, it was a DC movie.
This isn't a DC movie.
It's not a Marvel movie.
No, but it's a comic book film.
Yeah, but what? Okay, fine. Your joke can exist, but I can't. I understand. Chris Evans isn't in DC movies. That's my point.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
and those are comic book movies. Even if we don't want to admit it. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's a love story about a guy with a broken heart who finds a lovely young woman named Ramona Flowers, who turns out to have a bunch of evil ex-boyfriends that our hero has to defeat in single combat in order to win her hand. Realistically, he just needs to defeat all of them. That way, they don't murder him, because she likes him after I don't know, their second date.
I don't know, man. Like from the jump, she's kind of cold. You know, Ramona Flowers is a little bit cold. You know, like he kind of guilts her into a date, and it's like, if I sign this, will you go out with me? And she's like, whatever.
That's why I said after the second date. I mean, Ramona has a reason to be cold. She has an army of stalker ex-boyfriends who are trying to hunt down whoever she goes out with next.
I feel that, but I feel for Knives Chow, man.
Yeah, so Knives Chow is a 17-year-old Asian girl who, what's his name? What's the main character?
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. Is dating, and he's really just using her.
As like an emotional crutch?
Emotional crutch. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a rebound, right?
Yeah.
Because he has his heart broken a little while before, and he's still having trouble dealing with that. The lady who breaks his heart, actually becomes one of the villains in the film later on.
Adams?
Yeah, N.V. Adams. But it's a very goofy film with an interesting musical score. I don't know. Do you want to talk about how music is kind of incorporated into the show?
Well, I guess I'd say it's kind of very punk rock,
yeah,
right?
It's very punk rock.
It's all about in their feelings, right? Like, I'm surprised they didn't have Drake in this movie because he's from Canada. It takes place in Toronto, and he's always in his feelings. But
he's not very punk rock though.
He's not. No, he's not. But yeah, no, it's a very punk rock film. I think basically it is a rom-com with some action tendencies to it. You know, it's in a video game kind of too. It's like all the stuff in high school you realize is cool, smashed into a movie. And I know that's not the music, but you know, the music definitely, there are moments where a song will play and it'll make you, the audience, think about possibly your own relationships, or what would you have done in that scenario.
That's not at all what I was trying to get out of you.
Well, then I'm not sure. Can you rephrase your question?
Scott Pilgrim's in a band.
No, Sex Bomb.
The Sex Bomb, and Sex Bomb, they enter Battle of the Bands.
Right.
He fights multiple of his enemies using music.
Yes.
Yes.
Like when they have a giant Yeti fighting a musical Yeti.
Yeah. What are the Yakuzawa twins or something like that?
Something really cool like that.
Do they count as two evil exes or one evil ex?
I think they are two.
Okay. So I don't know what their name is, and I apologize. My knowledge.
They're not really that important. They're like a one-off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure in the comics, right? They probably prolong some of this stuff. Where in the movie it's just you're gonna fight this guy, then you're gonna fight that guy. It's not really they don't get their own time to grow as villains. But anyway,
which I'm fine with. Besides Gideon gets a little bit of time. So does Envy. But anyways, yeah, so our main character, Scott Pilgrim, fights people in the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
He fights against one of the main bad guys, who's just an evil vegan and because you're a vegan in the universe of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, you have telepathic powers, and this guy basically just looks like a Super Saiyan the entire time.
Oh, fun fact, that's actually Brandon Routh. So that's Superman, that guy.
That's Superman?
That is the Superman from Superman Returns.
So we have Superman and Captain America.
Yep, and then you also have the Punisher, who has a guest spot. Remember the vegan police?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the vegan police is Thomas
Yo.
Jane, who's the Punisher, and then the second one is Clifton Collins Jr., and he's in Boondock Saints 2.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good
We should
movie.
do those.
We will.
Yeah. Anyways,
So anyway, you're talking about music,
So he fights that guy with music, and then his band stages off against another one in the Battle of the Bands, which turns out to also be a set of evil X's.
Yep.
Which are
that
two
Patel
twins.
guy.
Patel sings throughout his entire fight. Yeah, who's the first evil X?
And then Gideon G-Man, right? He's like a record producer. So music is a very big like component in this film, and I guess maybe you can attribute some of that to like again the high school aesthetic, right? Of like punk rock, no one understands me, you know?
Yeah, no, you definitely can. And then the other part about it is, even though it's kind of like punk rock and emotional, it also doesn't really take itself seriously at all.
Yeah.
Like the show kind of makes fun of itself 100% of the time, or maybe not. No, it makes fun of itself. It's aware that it's goofy. It's aware that it's silly, and it's not trying to be serious. You have psychic vegans.
Yeah.
You have a lady who, when she rollerblades, the snow melts in front of her. The main character is probably the most aloof character in like any comic book movie adaptation ever made. Like it's a silly film, and it's really fun, and it's really funny good time.
It is a good. I agree. It's something, when I first watched it, I thought like I was actually recommended to see it from a student of mine, because when it came out in theaters and on DVD, I didn't pay it any attention, and then for the first time I watched it, I was like, it's not bad, but like, rewatching it, with Sam, just like, oh wow, like that joke clicks, or I get this now. I think definitely a performance that shined was Kieran Culkin, who played his gay best friend Wallace.
Oh yeah.
Like he was really good, deadpan.
Yeah, he's hysterical, and he's like witty the entire time.
Like, does that girl count as a guy too in the band? And then she flips him off, and he keeps heckling them.
Yeah, and they're like, yes, she does.
And then there's like, every time he meets a cute dude, like Scott and him share a bed, like every time they wake up, there's like one more guy in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. No, there's a lot of good characters. I don't know. Ramona's great.
I didn't like Ramona.
You don't like Ramona?
I don't like Ramona. I really think he should have been with Knives.
I think that Ramona kind of just plays up that whole angsty character thing that goes along with the punk rock aesthetic. You know what I mean? And then Knives is kind of the opposite. She's all like sunshine and rainbows and over the top.
Yeah.
Which definitely is not our main character's speed. At least not what he thinks his speed is, And anyway, she finds love. No, she doesn't.
Not with young Neil.
Poor young Neil. Young Neil becomes Neil. So.
Yeah. There's a real cool scene where like Knives Chow asks young Neil what he plays, right? Because he doesn't see him like play any instruments. Just like, oh, what do you play? He's like, Zelda, Tetris. It's a really complicated question, man. And it's like, that's true. It's like, what do you play? There's so many choices. Like, so that I felt was really, well placed and well timed on Johnny Simmons' delivery there. But overall, I think Edgar Wright, does a pretty good job, because he was coming off the Coronado trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, At World's End, and then Hot Fuzz. So like, this was kind of like, a bigger, I don't want to say bigger budget film, but like, it seemed kind of like it could have been. Like, after this, you start developing Ant-Man, so he was definitely in the comic book grind.
Okay, so this was like his entryway into the comic book world.
I
don't know, man. That trio of films are classics.
No. Wholeheartedly. Conversation for another time. But I thought Edgar Wright did a really good job. I think Scott Pilgrim is probably an underappreciated gem. Granted, me and Sam didn't read the source material, so I'm sure there are people who have a way better, understanding. So for this video, we actually talked with one of my former students, Mr. Connor Hughes, who's a big fan. So that's our take of it. Stick around, he will give some in-depth differences between the source material in the film. So, sitting here with a former student of mine, Mr. Connor Hughes, and way back when I first had Connor in class, one of the first movies he recommended to me was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World by Edgar Wright, with Mr. Michael Cera as Mr. Pilgrim. And, my brother Sam and I have all been watching it and looking at it, right? It doesn't seem like it takes itself too seriously. It's a little over-the-top fun. It seems like it's even filmed in ways that each scene is a comic book panel. Now, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, this is a little goofy, but rewatching it, it's like it doesn't take itself too seriously, and that being goofy, I think, is part of what is endearing about it. Now, Con, you just said before we started this that your opinion has changed about Scott Pilgrim, so I'm just curious, what I know in the beginning you seemed like you really were all about it, so let's start with what things did you really enjoy about it to begin with, and then we can talk about, your change of heart.
To clarify, I am still very on board with this movie.
Okay.
I do like it for what it is. It isn't the movie itself that ruined it. It is the things surrounding the movie, the other parts of it. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was originally a book series written by Bryan Lee O'Malley, a six-part graphic novel series. And this movie was made while the books were being written. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. Please keep going, man.
The ending was basically he got through the first 5, and then the movie was on its last leg, and he just didn't have time to get out the last book before the movie was finished. So the movie interpreted its own ending. Now that's not the only problem I have with it, because the ending of the book and the movie are vastly different. They are two separate entities, if you want to compare them.
Can you elaborate on that for us?
Okay, so the ending of, I suppose I should say spoilers.
Be forewarned, spoilers are down this road.
Spoilers. If you want to watch this, I still recommend it. It's a great starting point for if you want to get farther into it. The long and short of it is, I suggest it, but be prepared for it to be ruined if you're going to go and read the books. The ending of the movie ends with a fight between Gideon Graves and Scott Pilgrim, where he faces him twice. The first time he goes in with the wrong attitude, fighting for only Ramona. Therefore, he is, in the end, confronted by knives and Ramona. He's faced with the fact that he cheated, and while distracted, he is killed. He comes back to life, goes in, fights for himself, fights for his own, he says fights for himself, and then ends up winning that fight. Basically facing his own demons. In the book, God, it's been so long since I read the book. This is going to be really vague.
That's okay, man.
In the book, Scott and Ramona work together. He still ends up dying at one point because Gideon sneaks up behind him, having to face his own demons, kills him. He comes back, and then faces Gideon with Ramona. I don't know I can't remember if knives got involved. I think the knife situation was actually resolved beforehand in the books, before the last confrontation. So, and I could go further into this, like, how there's a chip in the back of Ramona's neck in the movie?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a very, very vague thing of, in the books, Gideon is not only a music producer, he's also an inventor. He's invented this bioweapon that basically traps people in their own heads, and he used it on Ramona and Scott. trapping not only Scott in his own head, but also Ramona. So that chip was just a vague way of... Remember when Ramona said, he just has a way of getting into my head? And then shows him the chip?
That's the tie-in right there?
That's the tie-in right there. It's just a chip, which is lazy, if you ask me.
So they definitely, it sounds like you're saying they had avenues they could have explored further, but they just left it like, oh, hey, look, we're acknowledging,
We're acknowledging that this is a thing, but we're not going to get too deep into it.
Okay, so no, there are a lot of differences just off that alone, my man. And I don't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
The final showdown in the books is actually Ramona is killed. And Scott, knowing that she is trapped in her own head, realizing that this bioweapon is a thing, climbs into Ramona's bag. You know how it's the bag that has like a whole other universe inside of it?
Right.
Where he confronts basically what is a mental version of Gideon, where he is this giant Titan. Think Attack on Titan. And he kills him in the bag, and the whole bag just explodes. Because he has killed what is basically holding the entire other universe together. Saving Ramona and getting rid of Gideon's grasp over Ramona.
Yeah, that sounds like a way more interesting end.
Very deep thing. He goes back to Toronto at one point because he goes back home at one point with Kim, tries to get with Kim, realizes, hey, this is not how it's... And actually fights the Shadow. You know how that was just teased at the end? Nega Scott?
Yes.
That's actually a thing in the books where he goes back home, realizes that he's basically lost himself and fights that Nega Scott. In the movie, he just sees Nega Scott and then they chill. This is a weird thing. They end up just getting brunch.
Well, you can't really complain with brunch. That's probably one of the best meals.
No, this was weird. I didn't like it. If you're going to have him face himself, it's just like this little tease at the end where it's just like, oh no, we're going to have to fight Nega Scott now because he needs to face his demons. No, we're just going to talk and then get brunch. It's ridiculous when you think about it.
No, you're right. They're leaving a whole... Did you think maybe that might have been something they would have addressed in like a sequel, right? Like if it took off? I don't know
if a sequel would have been a good idea. I think a sequel for this movie, they tried to pack everything in, and to try to make a sequel, to try to split it up might have diluted the plot further.
Okay.
Maybe it would have had the opposite effect. I don't know.
All right, so you talked about kind of a lot of the differences versus like the book to the film adaptation. Now, what are some things like you also mentioned?
I do have other complaints about the movie. It's not just the film adaptation. Like I said, it's not just the movie itself. It's the things surrounding it.
So what else? You talked about the adaptation. What else do you feel wasn't ideal?
Scott, played by Michael Cera. As Michael Cera nails the look of Scott Pilgrim, this white teenager from Canada. Nice one. As he nails the look, I don't know who wrote the script. I know it was Edgar Wright directed the thing, but I don't know who wrote the script. But he wrote Scott as more of a asshole, and Ramon is a lot more cold compared to the books.
Gotcha.
Like in the books, Scott still cheats on Ramona with knives for that brief period, but he wasn't really being like an actual jerk about it. He was just ignorant.
I see.
He's just an idiot. He's not actively a jerk. And then Ramona comes off as a lot more cold because she's not as understanding in the movie. He just leaves him instead of trying to fix things. Which I felt that as they nailed the looks, both the characters did, they may have lost the tone of both characters.
So style over substance?
I don't... Yes. That actually does encompass this quite a bit. This is a classic case of book ruined the movie. What do I like about it? I do like the music. The movie's music was great. I think it was perfect for what it was. I think every battle was choreographed well, give or take a few. I could do without. I don't know. The battles were good. The Kat and Nagi battle was my favorite, even though they never actually fought. It was really the music that did that. But in the book, they were given a lot more character. Like I said, this whole thing is the book, when put up next to the movie, is vastly superior. Now, to let you go on to your thoughts, the long and short of this is, I suggest this movie as, if you feel like this concept is a good idea, is like interesting to you, watch the movie. If you really like the movie, read the books.
All right, so you're saying the movie should be a gateway to further dive down the rabbit hole and read the comics.
Yes.
All right, so this would be your intro. This would be your baptism into the Scott Pilgrim universe.
Basically, yes. If you find the idea intriguing, watch the movie. If you really enjoy it, read the books.
Perfect. All right, well, guys, you heard it here first from the one and only Mr. Connor Hughes. But as always, it's been a pleasure.
I love you. Bye.